Last time, we talked about Majora's Mask and why I think it's the best game in the series, and this time, we're going to be talking about our honorable mention, Wind Waker. Hello, and welcome. It's me, Marls44, and I'm here with...
What's up, everybody? I'm Scourgeblade Zelda.
And we're back with the final part 3, before the bloopers, of course, about the honorable mention.
So many bloopers.
Yeah, so many bloopers, especially from that. Jesus, you'll see what we're talking about. But yeah, we're back with Zelda Talk. We got part 3, our honorable mention. Talking about Wind Waker this time, and why we think it's our honorable mention. Why we think it's worth talking about it. Yeah, let's just hop right into it. So, as usual, let's start off with the dungeons. So, first dungeon, we got Dragon Roost Cavern. I almost said Dragon Roost Island. I mean, it is an island. Dragon Roost is an island. So
it is.
I'm not wrong.
It is pretty easy to mix the two up.
Yeah, especially when half of them are just...
They
have an
when they're
island in the
same
name.
area.
Half of the islands have island in the name, too. Outside Island. Windfall Island. Great Fish Isle. Close enough.
I was thinking of Forest Haven, but I'm like, wait.
Forest Haven Island. But yeah, so Dragon Roost Cavern.
I'd say it's probably one of the simplest dungeons in the series.
Yeah.
But I like how it really takes advantage of the fact that you can pick up other enemies' weapons and use them to solve puzzles.
Yeah, it's that dungeon that allows you to like do that a lot, because none of the others really do that much or at all.
It's the only dungeon that does it. The only other time it's ever brought up again is when you want to light a torch. But no, here they're like barricades, so like your normal sword can't cut through that. So hey, let's get a big sword.
Mm-hmm. The only other time I can think of is in Ganon's castle, when you have to use Phantom Ganon's sword to like break that barrier.
Oh yeah, there's that too.
I just remembered that one. I'm like, oh yeah, there is one other instance there, but yeah, there's a lot of...
I completely forgot about that because it's just so random.
Of course, I think it is also because of like enemies you encounter. So like, you know, in not Forest Haven, Forbidden Woods, there's really no enemies with like weapons, so you can't really use that because they're all like bugs and other things. Tower of the Gods, I guess the Dark Nuts, you can use theirs, but there's not really much either there.
There's no reason to.
Yeah.
Most of the time you can use other enemies' weapons, but why would you when you have your own sword that's one much faster and you can combo with? There's literally no reason.
It's
you can
really
only do like
for,
3 moves with a normal enemy's sword, where with your own you could do like what, 8?
Yeah. And it's kind of like, well, yeah, it's just so much more worth it to use your own sword. But I like how Dragon Roost Cavern at least, you know, uses that technique, that whole using other weapons to solve puzzles, instead of just. I personally
like the one where you chuck it across a room to.
That's the one I was thinking about.
To destroy the.
That's the one I was thinking about.
Ah, yeah!
That's the one I was thinking about. To destroy, like, that barricade blocking what, I think it was a chest with a key or something? I can't remember. It's been a while since I played Wind Waker.
Yeah.
Has it really been a year since I played Wind Waker? Fuck. Because that's when we started the race.
I keep telling you to play it more, and you never do.
I will play it more, don't worry. Don't worry. But yeah, so Dragon Roost is pretty pretty interesting. It's not Goma, definitely like one of the best Goma fights, if not the best. Probably the best, actually, thinking of all the others.
I think it's the second best Goma fight, second to Oracle of Seasons.
Oh yeah, that one.
But I think
like Wind Waker's better after playing that.
But I personally like how Wind Waker's first boss is actually kind of tough.
Yeah. It's actually quite the challenge.
There aren't a lot of places to go. And no matter where you go, he can still reach you.
And I just like how the whole grappling hook is used in that boss fight as well. To just smash Goma's armor with the freaking stone around what's his name again? Fuck.
Valoo?
Valoo. I almost said volley, and I'm like, that's not right.
Volley? What?
Valoo's tail, and then just like comes down and shatters on him. Yeah, that in my opinion, that's I think the best Goma fight. My personal opinion, I mean, the Goma fight in Seasons was good, but I definitely like this one better. But Dragon Roost has a really cool, like for a first dungeon, I think it has a really cool like vibe and just it has really good puzzles for being a first dungeon. Like it's nothing like spectacular like the last two
but
games
it's not
we were talking about. But it's better. I'd say it's better than a lot of the weaker or just average first dungeons.
Yeah, and it's
very well done.
And even among most of the other dungeons, I think it has the most creative movement for like taking advantage of all of Link's skill sets, even going so far as to make him like sidle while holding onto a ledge.
Yeah. And then we got Forbidden Woods. Ooh, scary, spooky. I
love the Forbidden Woods.
Yeah,
I think
Forbidden Woods are really good dungeon.
It's a much more peaceful dungeon, and I love forest-like aesthetics anyway. That, and you get two of the most fun items in the game while going through it. The Deku Leaf and the Boomerang.
Yeah. Right before you start it, you get the Deku Leaf, and then you get the Boomerang midway, and it's the best Boomerang in the series, pretty much.
I wouldn't go that far, but it's
not in the series. It's one of the best. I meant to say one of the best, not the best.
It's
also
it's the best 3D Boomerang. Let's say that.
Yeah. I totally forgot about the 2D ones. I'm just thinking of the 3D ones.
If you want the best Boomerang of all time, look no further than Link's Awakening. Well, that Boomerang completely slaughters everything.
Well, there is Link's Awakening 2019, so then would you consider that a 3D game still? Since it's 2D, but 3D looking now?
No, I don't count that. Would you?
I don't either.
Would you count a Link Between Worlds a 3D game?
No, it's like a 2.5. It's like 2.5D. It's in the middle. It's in the middle, man.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think Wind Waker's Boomerang is really, really well done. It functions properly, and the boss is a lot of fun as well. It can be frustrating for new players.
I love
100%.
I love Jolly Demos.
I know you love its theme, right?
It has
pretty sure.
I love Kali Demos' battle theme. It's
pretty
so cool.
It's so good.
And just the way that the room just bursts into color whenever you stun it.
It does? I don't think I actually noticed it. I gotta look at that again. You know, there's weird things I don't notice. And
God damn it, Marley. It's
What
obvious! How do you not notice it?
You know who you're talking to, right? This has happened on several accounts, man. But like, I like the whole dungeon and the way you solve puzzles with like, you know, those eyes on the door that close, and like you have to use like bombs and other things to like deal with it, and just the whole atmosphere of like it's a tree that's dead but still alive. It's like an in-between state of like a haunted tree in a way. It's just really cool. It's like the old Deku tree alive somehow. Or wait, was the old Deku tree the Forbidden Woods, or was it Forest Haven? I think it was Forbidden Woods, but I might be wrong. Or was that the Lost Woods that Forbidden Woods was? I can't remember. It's been a while.
What are you talking about? I'm pretty sure Forest Haven is the old Deku tree.
Okay, yeah. I realized I made a mistake, and I was like, I think I said that wrong. Yeah, so Forbidden Woods is what? The Lost Woods, right? Pretty much?
I guess.
You could kind of consider it that, but it's like alive.
You could.
It's just an interesting thought. It has some kind of like vibe to it of like, this did exist in you know, the forest. What is it? I don't know, but it did exist. It does exist. What was it in the past? Who freaking knows? But it's kind of cool to think about it.
What I like the most about the dungeon, though, is how it utilizes the Deku Leaf.
Yeah. With like the little,
like with the lily pad,
yeah,
and
the lily pads,
and how you go into the buds, and they shoot you out. Yeah, it's called a Baba Bud.
Yeah, I was like I was thinking in my head like the Deku Baba.
Yeah, that shoots you out, and you could float with the Deku Leaf.
Yeah, I really like how all that's done, and like you can even, I just love like the moving vines and everything, and like how it looks like this tree is still alive. What is this tree? What is this? I don't know. Forbidden Woods is really good.
Yeah, now that I think about it, it's kind of similar to Jabu Jabu's Belly in Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
In that way.
Tower of the Gods. One of the best, like, there are really good dungeons in this game. Definitely one of the best ones in this game. Either like second or third best.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's hard to say if Ganon's Castle or Tower of the Gods is better. They kind of like go back and forth with me. But yeah.
I like the Tower of the Gods specifically because it's not a place that's infested by Ganon. It's a real sacred tower that exists to test your skills. They're not trying to kill you or anything like that. They're like, hey, you want to get the Master Sword? You got all the pearls? Well, we're gonna test you first.
Yeah, since there's
Show us what you got.
Since with the
Show
story,
us what you got, elf boy.
Since with the story, like, spoiler warning. Since with the story, it's like, you know, the hero hasn't shown up in such a long time, and now the Tower of the Gods was created, so, you know, they can test the hero because they never really made any new hero. A hero's just kind of gonna show up eventually, hopefully, and that's kind of what happened. We'll get into that more later, but when we get to the story part. But yeah, I love how Tower of the Gods is just a sacred place. The first part of the area is kind of like a water dungeon a bit.
Kind of, but there really isn't a water dungeon in Wind Waker, which I find odd.
Yeah, they're supposed to be.
Since you know the entire world is filled with water.
Well, maybe they just didn't want to Maybe they just don't want to drown the people who played it in water. Just be like, hey, look, we got a water dungeon. Nah, what the? There's so much water. But we know the real reason.
We'll get back to that.
We'll get to that. But I just love Tower of the Gods, the whole like climb to the top, to like prove your worth.
Yeah.
It really does feel like a test from the gods, especially because like, you know, you're going upwards. You're kind of in a way trying to go to the heavens to test yourself.
It's like you're.
I just
It's
thought
like
of
you're
that on the
going up
spot.
the
It's really
temple.
cool.
It's like you're. It's like you're scaling the Tower of Babel. It's like
my God, yeah.
really cool.
Yeah. Oh shit, that's sick. But yeah, that the dungeon's really good. You get the bow, which is like one of the most iconic items, if not honestly, probably the most iconic item in the
You
Zelda
can't have
games.
a Zelda. You can't have a Zelda game without the bow.
Yeah.
You just can't.
And I mean, the last game we talked about basically made the bow its fucking baby. Or wife, or husband, or whatever. But yeah, the bow, amazing item. And I just love how it's used against, like, the boss as well. The Dark Nut is, you know, the mini boss where it's like, okay, this is your first encounter with the Dark Nut, and while it's not extremely challenging because, you know, of the reaction attacks, the reaction commands, it's still like the first time you encounter it and it's like, oh shit, this is kind of sketchy. It's kind of sketchy. Scary. I said sketchy. Why did I say sketchy?
I don't know. Why
I don't
did
know.
you?
We're in a place of the gods. Why did I say sketchy?
Is the Dark Nut trying to violate Link or something?
Maybe. Who
Like,
knows? Wait. Oh, that's messed up. But probably like
Phone.
it's personally my favorite iteration of like the Dark Nuts. I really, really like Wind Wakers. Twilight Princesses is really cool too, but I really love Wind Wakers. And then, you know, there's the boss as well, which is just a trial, because, you know, the whole thing is just a trial. So Godan's not really trying to kill you, he's just testing you, and, like, that's why he, like, drops, like, you know, the arrows and everything, and the bombs. But I love Godan as a boss. He's, so good. If we're not counting, like, the final boss stuff,
Which I wouldn't.
is my favorite boss.
Yeah, I think Godon is my favorite boss too.
Because my favorite boss is the final boss, like the last fight. Like the fight with Ganondorf.
Oh yeah.
Screw Ganon.
No other fight in the game compares.
Yeah. But Godan, 100% second. Right there. Like, Godan is just so good.
Yep.
And I just love that whole, like... It's like it kind of looks like it's a Sheikah kind of look. The room with him, it kind of has a Sheikah kind of look. But also I really like how it seems like you're in kind of like a sacred place when you're fighting him. I mean, it seems like the whole thing's a sacred place, but then you get to like the boss and it seems more sacred than the rest, and it's like, oh shit, this is really cool. I guess we can move on to Forsaken Fortress, because we're tackling both parts here, because it makes it easier than going for part one.
That, and I wouldn't really count them as a dungeon, even though there's a mini boss, a dungeon item, and a boss.
Yeah.
It doesn't really feel like a traditional dungeon.
It's kind of like a dungeon that you have to just... It's a dungeon that you complete in two parts, rather than just, like, going through it and beating it.
It's
a
more like an
approach, but...
It's more like an area that the game tries to treat as a dungeon.
Yeah, in a way, I guess. But you got the first visit where, you know, you don't have your sword and you gotta sneak around and try to find your sister. Well, you have to find your sword. Then you have to find your sister, which conveniently, your sword's right outside where your sister is. So, that worked. Glad it wasn't, like, at the top where Ganondorf was.
Or God knows or God help you if your swords, like, fell into the ocean.
Right. Just like, huh. Well then.
Guess I don't have a weapon anymore.
So long for that. The Helmrock King just takes you to Ganondorf. Ganondorf just grabs your sword and is like, what is this shit? Just throws it into the ocean? You're just like, how do I beat the game now, you cheater?
As
Swordless Wind Waker. Let's go.
as in when you. Fuck you. As in the sword just drops into the ocean when you.
That's it.
When you enter, like when you plop down onto like the wall.
Or it was just, or it could have
shoots you.
Or it could have just been left in the barrel, or not the barrel, on the ship. Like, oops, we forgot to give him his sword back. He doesn't need it, right? Right?
Not that incompetent. Come on. But yeah, Phantom Ganon is a cool fight, and the Helmrock King, well, is not hard in the least. I still enjoy the fight itself because just for the amount of satisfaction you get out of destroying its entire soul.
It steals your sister, threatens your life, and you come back and
it steals. It comes to your island. Throws a pirate onto your island, kidnaps your sister, and then throws you out into the sea to die.
So coming back and beating it up feels very satisfying.
Oh yes, very.
I definitely say it's probably like my third favorite boss in the game. Like right after Godan, because I'm thinking about the other. Well, maybe Kali Demos. I don't know. That's debatable. There's Kali Demos. That's debatable.
Fight is stretching it a bit.
True. But I like the whole. I like just the whole fight with it. It's a pretty cool boss fight. And then that whole like interaction with Ganondorf after adds to Forsaken Fortress.
Yeah, and I will say the going up the tower is really cool.
Yeah. But yeah, that first visit was very
while the Helmrock King is trying to take out your footing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, going up that's more so the part, I guess, like that I enjoy over the other part.
Yeah,
that's kind of the part that like, oh, yes, it's fun.
Ooh, tension before the I'm gonna fuck you up phase.
Tension before the fucking.
The calm before the storm. The boner before penetration.
But just remember, hide your sister, hide yourself, hide your village, hide the pirates, because this bird is coming for you.
Hide your boat too.
Hide your boat. But yeah, so next up we got the best dungeon in the entire game. This time I didn't forget about
the Earth Temple.
The Earth Temple, minus the boss.
Such a good dungeon. One of the best dungeons in the series.
Yeah, 100%. It's up there with a few of the others, in my opinion. And I think Scourge agree. From what I understood from like us talking, I think we agree on like what we think like the top 4 or 5 dungeons in the best dungeons are in the series. Just maybe not the order, but like what the top 5 would be, which would be an interesting video to do itself. So I think maybe we come back to something like that. I know we were gonna do a whole ranking thing.
Nudge.
Eventually, but I think doing like a top 5 video where we sit and talk about the dungeons and do kind of like this kind of thing, like best dungeons in the series, where one is you talking and one is me talking, that's fun. So I just came up with that, so look forward to that. Because I doubt he's gonna say no. You're not gonna say no, right?
Nah, I got better things to do.
I'll do it myself then. You don't want to do it, I'm gonna do it. But yeah, so Earth Temple, one of the best dungeons in the series. Best dungeon in the game.
Easily.
It's here. You start with it because I don't even know how to start it. Just go for it, man.
First of all, the atmosphere is tantalizing. the entire dungeon is filled with the undead, which is a huge tone shift compared to the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but you have Medley with you, and Medley, she's very useful for what the dungeon throws at you, and it really feels like you two are working together as a team to deal with with this haunted place in order to get to the monster that killed the previous sage.
Yeah.
And all of the mirror puzzles, that one mirror puzzle to get the boss is, oh my god, is one of the best puzzles in the game.
I remember when I first played the game and I'm like, what is this puzzle? This is so crazy. But at that time, I didn't know what I was doing in Zelda games. But after coming back to it, like, the second time I played the game, I was like, okay, never mind. This puzzle is freaking amazing. This is insane. Like, the level of just, holy shit, this puzzle blew my mind. Is just so good.
It introduced some of the toughest enemies in the game, being Redeads and blue bubbles.
And the Stallards are pretty
the
intense
Stalfos
too.
Yeah.
Stalfos?
Yeah, they're Stalfos.
Oh, I said Stallard, didn't I?
Stallord.
We're not talking about Twilight Princess. We already talked about
that. We already talked about Twilight Princess, bro.
If only he was the boss of this dungeon.
Yeah.
If only. To be honest, I would have loved to see that. Oh my god, now that I said that, I'm depressed.
I am too, that you gave me the idea, and I'm like, oh, Marley, why would you do this?
Holy crap.
But yeah, that's the only thing that's underwhelming about this dungeon, and the main reason why it's not at least in the top 3 is because of all time. Because the boss is just so underwhelming, and there are a lot of...
Super easy. Or super bullshit, because it's like, I touched you! Oh no, your controls are reversed! Haha, funny, stinky!
I was talking about the light making you run around like a chicken with his head cut off.
That too!
You know, that works too.
Like, that too, yeah, the light thing's annoying. And it's why it can accidentally touch you as well. Because, I mean, you saw it happen when I was playing it.
I saw it happen twice.
Yeah, and I was
just like... both times you fought him
I know what I'm doing here. Why is the game being a bitch?
Yeah, it's just annoying, not fun to fight, and just an overall very underwhelming boss.
Yeah. Pretty much. But, like, the rest of the dungeon is so good. You get the mirror shield, and you get to... Like, the puzzles, because, like, Medley can, you know, reflect things with her, I don't even know what it is. Harp?
A harp.
Okay.
It's a harp.
Because I'm like, how can a harp reflect things? She must have something on there. But
she reflects light with her harp, then you can reflect that light with your shield.
Harp must be that shiny, damn. A harp has the power of a mirror shield? That's kind of insane. Yeah, I never thought of it like that. I thought there's got to be something on it, and it's not just a harp. Nope, it's just a harp. You're right. That's some fucking next level harp right there. But she must fucking scrub that thing every day. But yeah, just the puzzles with her harp at the beginning are pretty interesting. But then once you get the mirror shield and you have to do like double reflection of light, you have to reflect light, like bounce light off of like Medley onto you is really cool. And she's really good for like even just like controlling. She feels really good. She doesn't just get caught randomly. You have to fuck up. We'll get to that in the next dungeon about someone specific. And like just that room we were talking about, that huge room encompasses that so many times, and it's just like, holy crap.
That is without a doubt the best puzzle in the game.
Yeah, like that shit was amazing. So yeah, best dungeon in the game. Now let's move on. Go
to the worst dungeon in the game.
Fucking 100 to 0 to the worst dungeon in the game.
The Wind Temple. Oh Oh boy! Why don't you start us off this time?
Yeah, sure. So the bullshit temple. Sorry, I said the wind temple. No, wait, same thing, different words. So the wind temple is just. I guess let's first off go with. Like we had Medley, we have someone with us this time that you have to bring with you. But this time, he's a fucking useless piece of shit.
Dude, where's my car?
Where's my car, dude? Yeah, so you have Makar with you, and I mean, Makar's a nice character, but God, he's useless.
Yes.
But God, he's fucking useless. Like, you start off the dungeon, and he basically gets caught right at the beginning.
Useless. He's worse than useless. He's a fucking hindrance.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. Yeah, he's a hindrance. Sorry, not he's useless. He's a hindrance. Yeah, he's more like Aqua. Yeah. No.
I'd say he's even worse than Aqua because at least
shit.
Aqua can take out undead.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. She's just useless. He's not.
That and she is a fucking riot.
Sure.
Even if she didn't have that undead thing going for her, at least she's good entertainment.
That is very true. Very true.
Makar can't even
Back
do
to Zelda.
that right.
Back to Zelda. Yeah, Makar is just. He's a hindrance. He gets captured right at the beginning. He goes to plant some seeds, just immediately gets captured by a floor master that spawns instantly when he does that. And you have to do it, so it's like, well, shit.
And that's the only thing he does, by the way.
And that's the only thing he really does. He just plants seeds.
He just plants seeds that you can use your hook shot on, and that's it. Like,
with Medley, at least you could kind of, like, you can fly with her. You could throw her and she flies. Makar flies. You could control
her. You could control her, and she could actually, do things.
Yeah.
But Makar, nope. He can't even step on a fucking button.
Yeah. And you go through like half of the dungeon without him. You save him. And then you have to try to, in one of the worst hub rooms ever.
I'm gonna say this right now. The Wind Temple hub room is worse than the Water Temple hub room.
Yes.
Change my mind.
No, I agree 100%. I don't even know which Water Temple you're talking about. I don't care.
You know which one I'm talking about.
I don't know if you're talking about Ocarina of Time, because I'm assuming it's Ocarina of Time. But you could be talking about Twilight Princess, because that one's annoying.
If I was talking about Twilight
beginning.
Princess, I would say Lake Bed Temple, dipshit.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
It's the Water Temple. I'm talking about the Water Temple.
Okay.
The hub room.
I don't know why I was thinking that.
In Wind Waker is the worst.
Yeah.
Is worse.
And I agree 100%.
Water Temple.
And I agree 100% because it's horrible. Partially because Makar can barely freaking like go up as well, like fly. He can't fly properly. So it's really hard to get him where you want him to go, especially when you don't need him to go like right to the top, and it's like a room under or another like two under. No, I think there's only a room under. Yeah, only a room under, and it's like you have to somehow like squeeze his ass in there, and he kind of like flails, and it's hard to control. And it's not even just Makar; it's hard to control yourself during that a bit sometimes. It's not as bad with Link though.
No, it's the fan. It's not
that fan.
It's not even Makar. It's just the fan. The fan just stops you from controlling Makar at all, and it activates way too frequently, so you do not have enough time to go anywhere without it blowing and messing you up in some way, which makes the dungeon take 10 times longer than it should.
Yeah, because you fall down and everything, and you're just like, well, I guess I gotta go back up now. And then somehow try to angle myself properly before this thing turns on, and do it at the right time so it's not on, but then I need to be high enough so it has to be on first. And it's just like, what is this?
It's...
And there are times you have to wait for the fan and other stuff because it's like, oh, I went to the wrong side of the room. Oh no.
And they're like, what, 4 or 5 floors?
Yeah.
It's even bigger than the water temple.
Yeah, that too.
So
that hub room is
so
horrid.
So there are just so many places to go.
I would still say that.
And every place you go takes you back to that hub room.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Have to go through it so much. At least with the water temple, you can avoid that hub room at least a little bit if you know exactly where to go. But here you can't do that. You just gotta keep going and hope the wind doesn't fuck you over. It is the worst.
Like, I still think Makar is a little annoying to control when flying. Like, he feels kind of awkward, like clunky. 100%.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, it's not just you. He is clunky.
But yeah, that fan is what makes it hard. That's why I was saying, like, it's like with Link, with like, you know, even controlling him in the air. In this dungeon specifically, that's why I was talking about Link as well, was because, yeah, I forgot to mention the fan, and that you brought up the fan. But yeah, this is that damn fan. And then there's even like the room before the boss room, which is pretty bad.
Oh yeah, that room.
Yeah, that room. And then I feel like there's other room. There's so much that's just like, why?
A lot of the rooms the
rooms are just why.
Temples just like, this isn't fun. Why would you make something like this?
Yeah. I had fun flying around with the Deku Leaf in the Forbidden Woods. Why am I not enjoying it in this dungeon? Why does it feel like a chore? Like it's just shitty. Like they did not do this right. Because they didn't. It's crap.
Take my advice. Get double magic for this place.
Yeah.
Because you are going to be in absolute hell without it.
Yeah. And then we got
we both know this from experience.
Then we got the boss, which
fuck that boss too.
I personally at least think it's better than the previous one, just because the previous one's just like, it can be stupid at times and running around with the light and everything, and it's just a boring fight. This one just feels like the boss from the Lakebed Temple, except just the first phase, and doesn't feel too bad. But it's nothing amazing. I personally don't even like Mulgera. I think Mulgera is just very boring, and sucking you in, and while you're trying to hook shot his tongue, and while you're doing that, he can just eat you up like with Goma. But unlike with Goma, Mulgera does way more damage to you. And then when he starts spitting out his little children, you keep on targeting them when you want to target Mulgera, and you're just like, ugh. That part is annoying, yeah. But I mean, if you don't get rid of them, they might hit you while trying to hook shot. So
I know. I always.
So you kind of get rid of. You kind of need to get rid of them, but
while you're getting rid of them, Mulgera can just like pop out and go and pop out and go, and then just fucking dive bomb you.
Yeah. I do think that, like, the Earth Temple boss is worse. Just in the sense of, like,
how disappointing it is.
Annoying and disappointing and just
I
bland.
can agree with that.
And Mulgera is at least, like, it has a couple neat things, even though it's at points it's like it's not special. It's not special in any way, and it's not like amazing in any way.
For me personally, I prefer Mulgera at least. I don't like Mulgera, but I prefer Jahana. I prefer Jahana. I would take that boss over Mulgera any day.
And then we got the big boy coming in. Final dungeon, Ganon's Castle. Let's talk about that one. So, yeah. You go
Ganon's
through the
tower.
I said Ganon's Castle, didn't I? shit! I knew I said the wrong thing. Ganon's Tower, everybody. So Ganon's Tower, so at the beginning, it's like you have the first 4 areas that are similar to the.
You go through sort of a boss rush.
Yeah, but like there's a little
obstacle course.
Yeah.
Little obstacle course that you have to go through before reaching the bosses, and now that you have the fully charged Master Sword, they're a whole lot easier.
Yeah. I find the only one I find that isn't a whole lot easier is Mulgera, but
yeah,
that's only because at that point in the game your Master Sword was half charged, and it's like, I mean, it's a bit easier. But it doesn't seem like super easy. If anything, I think it's even worse because you can't see anything. Okay, yeah, it's definitely worse in there. But yeah, you have that like mini boss rush as we were saying, and then you go through that underground area with Phantom Ganon, where you have to bounce his attack back, hit him, and then his sword will point to which door you have to go through. You go through the door, and then rinse and repeat. And then at the end, you get the light arrows, which you come back up and just shoot the real Phantom Ganon with.
Shred everything.
What?
They shred everything.
They do. Light arrows are broken in Wind Waker. They one-shot everything that isn't a boss. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of bosses, I wanted to say one more thing about the Wind Temple.
What's up?
The mini boss is actually my favorite boss in the game.
I did forget about the mini boss actually. Oopsies.
I do too, because the temple itself is just so horrid.
Yeah. Well, it's partially because at that point you fought like Wizrobes and stuff and Darknuts and stuff like that, and it's like might be a stronger Wizrobe, and it spawns Darknuts, but it's like it's easily forgettable because it's nothing that kind of like pops out. Similar to like the Forbidden Woods, we kind of forgot about that mini boss.
Yeah, but it's
Dragon Roost.
Yeah, but but most of them just become regular enemies.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's why I think the Wizrobe in the Wind Temple is notable because there's only one of it in the game. Mm-hmm. And like it does a good job in showing like overwhelming the player because if you're not careful, it can just keep summoning things while you're distracted, and since it summons another summoning Wizrobe along with it, you sometimes can't tell which one is the stronger one that you need to take out.
Yeah. But if it's just Darknuts left, you just hookshot him.
You're never gonna get over that.
Oh, hell no! Oh, hell no. I'm gonna remember that for the rest of my life.
But anyway, back to Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, back to Ganon's Tower. You got the climb to, and then after that you got the climb to Ganondorf himself, to those big doors, and if you use the light arrows, you just obliterate everything. You're just like, okay, bye, okay, bye, okay, bye, okay, bye. You just obliterate everything as you go up the stairs, just like you've gone from super weak and the game was easy to, well, not easy, but like the game was like you were super weak at the beginning and now you're really strong. Especially with these light arrows. It has a good way of Wind Waker has a good way of what's the word I'm looking for? Like progressively getting harder, I guess.
Difficulty progression?
Yeah, difficulty progression, yeah. A bit, and then it's like once you get the light arrows, it's like, what difficulty? Pew!
yeah, about that.
And then you get to the boss.
About
And then
that.
you're like, wait a minute.
About that.
About that. I thought it was going to get easy from here, from the looks of it.
Nope.
Shit.
Now that you have the light arrows, the game decides to give you a huge difficulty spike.
Yep.
And then
right at
and then
the end
just
of the game.
throws the puppet Ganon fight at you, which let me tell you, oh boy, puppet Ganon.
Tough fight. I mean, it's nothing like insane.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say it's
But it's
good
not-
or bad.
Yeah.
But I've had bad memories with puppet Ganon.
I've had experiences where it's really easy. I've had experiences where it's really hard.
It's not most of.
It's kind of like.
Well, now it's not that hard for me at all. But
Oh.
back
Well, yeah.
in the
That's
back in
you.
the day, it was the biggest fucking roadblock in existence, pretty much, in, like, Zelda existence.
Yeah, that boss is
Like the human form isn't too bad, and and neither is the spider form.
That's
but
what that is. That's
but
a human.
Yes,
And a tail. I didn't think it
or
was a human.
rather, puppet, I guess.
Oh, okay. I mean, it is called Puppet Ganon.
Ganon, the Ganon form, I guess.
There you go.
Jesus.
But yeah, the spider one's pretty. I'd say is definitely the easiest.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then the snake one can either be really easy or insanely bullshit because it goes so fast at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
There are ways you could stop it to make it easier, but as a kid you don't know that.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to? You just
try.
you just shoot it outright and hope you get lucky.
Yeah. And then we got the climb up. The area after you've beaten Puppet Ganon, you get to climb up to like the ceiling and everything, and you go through, and you're at the top of Ganon's castle on this like cool looking platform, and Ganondorf's standing right there, and shit happens, shit hits the fan, fight begins. Best Ganondorf fight ever. The best Ganondorf fight. This is the best iteration of Ganondorf in my opinion, and the best Ganondorf fight as well.
I agree. It is one of the best final bosses in the entire series.
Yeah.
Better than Ocarina of Time, better than Twilight Princess, better than Majora's Mask. It's got them all beat.
Yeah. Wait.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got them all beat. I stopped for a second.
It has taken their lunch money, beaten them up, and laughing at them.
Just you get the proper, like we were talking about with Twilight Princess. In this game, you get the proper sword fight with Ganondorf. You have Zelda assisting you, with the light arrows, but you get the proper fight, and it feels so good. I love this fight so much. I would just replay. There were times where I would just kind of like be like, I want to just replay the Ganondorf fight, but I don't want to fight Puppet Ganon again. I just want to keep resetting just to fight the Ganondorf fight. That was back, but I think you can do that.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
can
sure.
do that.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
Because that was back when I was like,
You can do it on the. You can do it on the second quest. You can just keep fighting Ganondorf over and over again. It's great. But what I like the most is that he learns as the fight goes on.
Yeah.
Like you can. Like he keeps getting hit with Zelda's light arrows. He knocks Zelda out and forces you to fight him one-on-one. He sees that you're parry attacking him. When you jump or roll, he sees it coming and blocks accordingly.
And then you can't beat him.
So then you do one of the coolest maneuvers in the entire franchise.
Yeah.
Zelda shoots you, and then you ricochet it with your mirror shield.
And then you fucking slice him up and shove it in his head. Honestly, probably the coolest.
The coolest final blow.
The coolest. Oh my god. Yeah, that
now that's a way to end
it. Is like
that's a way to end the game.
So, with all that said, it's like if honestly, I think from all of that said, if what we're going to talk about, that's the bad stuff. Like, we still have to get to a bit of the story, but, like, the bad stuff will also encompass the story as well. Like, we're going to talk about both together, because the story is affected by it. But right before we get to that, I want to say, if that didn't exist, and if we had, like, some of the shit that was missing, I think this game might just win outright.
It probably would have,
like, over Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess. I think it wins outright for both of us. Because it's just that good. That's why it's an honorable mention. Honestly, part of me is like, does it still beat Twilight Princess for me? I don't know. Probably not, but it's pretty fucking close. Because Twilight Princess does have a bit of a story hole, like, that we talked about. So it's like, it is on that realm of like,
yeah, Wind Waker is more consistent in its narrative.
Yeah, and
it's my favorite game of all time. So of course I'm gonna love it.
And that is partially why, like, I did say that is something I missed with Majora's Mask, of like why I did say it was like number one for me, because I don't feel that there. But yeah, let's get on to this story. So, you go ahead, since you know the story better, and I won't take like 10 years. So I don't take 10 years.
So basically, the story encompasses you're originally out there just to save your sister from being kidnapped by the Helmrock King. But as you go on, the quest that you're going on and the goal that you're trying to achieve becomes much more broad, and or grand, I should say.
Yeah, grand is much better. and
throughout the entire story, it's very lighthearted, and there are a lot of really funny moments, and I'm gonna say this, even though I think Twilight Princess Link has my favorite design, Wind Waker still has the best Link overall, because he has an actual personality. He has feelings. He gets scared. He's happy. He gets angry.
You see the faces. I love like all the looks you show. Yeah, he shows.
And that's one of the best things that you can do with an art style like Wind Waker's.
Mm-hmm. And I think I agree as well. Like, this is probably my favorite Link as well.
And the art style is very timeless. There is no other game in existence that I believe has aged better than Wind Waker. I believe that very highly. It has some of the best visuals I have ever seen. The gameplay is not perfect, but still very, very fluid. And the story, while it does have its slow points like in Twilight Princess, it doesn't just outright stop. It does go. It does keep going until you get to Ganon. You get to Ganon's tower, and you realize the entire game is actually much darker than it appears.
Yeah, and you go from like just saving your sister to some zero to shit. Wait, you guys are gonna make me do all this shit and make me get like the Triforce of courage and other stuff? So I'm going from a 0 to a hero. I didn't consent, but sure, I guess, why not?
But that's not why it's dark. It gets dark at the end.
Yeah.
It gets dark at the end because of the implications of Ganondorf. Ganondorf is the best he has ever been in any game he has ever debuted in.
Best Ganondorf as well.
The best Ganondorf. He has the best Link, best Ganondorf.
Honestly, maybe even best Zelda.
The entire, I wouldn't go that far, but
Maybe.
it is the top 3 for sure.
Okay, yeah. Skyward Sword Zelda, pretty good too, yeah. You're right.
But then you at the very end you find out you see some humanity within Ganondorf, and he contextualizes the Great Flood and how it affected not only the kingdom, but him and his people who are gone, and how he only wants to take back what he's lost.
And it's just... oh, man.
I have a video that goes more in detail about how dark Wind Waker's plot really is. But
I'll plug it right here.
Plug.
plug. I knew you were gonna mention it. I'm just like, I started pointing, like, plug it right here. Plug it right here.
But even then, like, you see little bits and pieces here and there about how dark it really is. Like with the encounter with Jaboon, and what him and the king talk about. Your first encounter with the Deku Tree, and how he completely mistakes you for the hero of time. Hell, the Deku Tree's theme in Ocarina of Time is much more. It is very mystical and soothing. But the Deku Tree's theme in Wind Waker is a lot more subdued and somber.
Yeah.
It is one of my favorite contrasts in the whole game. And it just makes me love the game even more as the more I play through it.
I was gonna say that, wait, we're missing a Zelda who could possibly be the best when I mentioned it before. Because I gotta say this, man. There's Breath of the Wild Zelda, and man, does she have good plot. I thought of that Zelda, and I'm like, maybe not top 3, more like top 5. Yeah. She's not top 3, but she has good plot.
Yeah. Okay, we should stop being creepy and continue the discussion.
It's not creepy. It's funny. Wait, it's creepy and funny. It's both. It's crunny. Anyways, let's continue. But yeah, just all the, like you were saying, like all the bits of info, like. Your video opened my eyes to like how dark Wind Waker actually was. When I watched it, I remember telling you about it, but I don't know if you remember, but
I do not.
But yeah, like
I made that video a long time ago.
Yeah, I know, it was a couple of years ago at least, maybe 3. But yeah, like the video is very good, so I'm gonna plug it again right here, and you definitely should go watch it. If you love Wind Waker, which, well, if you're if we're talking about Zelda, we're talking about Wind Waker, you should, but up to you. But yeah, like your video opened my eyes to like how there were different bits of info in there about like how dark Wind Waker actually is, even though it comes off as this very like, it first comes off as a very like lighthearted, childish kind of game because of like the cartoony style, and I kind of love how it's kind of like Wind Waker's kind of like two sides of a coin in that way.
Yeah,
like where it's like very lighthearted and childish and like cartoony, and then it goes from that to like dun dun dun. We go to your own gods destroyed you. Yeah,
and you're like, oh my god.
Literally. Oh my gods.
And then we get to
up, bitches, what you doing up there?
And then we get to the whole Ganondorf speech at the end where he goes, my country lay within a vast desert and all that.
Yeah, I love that
like
whole speech. It's so good.
Like what it was really like to live in the desert.
And you see it in Link's face. He's like, when he makes that like weird face, he's like, oh fuck, this shit's fucked up. I'm sorry for you, dude, but why are you fucking kidnapping people then?
No, his face doesn't go like that. He's going like, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
Or that, yeah. But probably a bit of both. I feel bad for you, but also, what the fuck you talking about? So
that's how the player feels.
True.
Link's like, what are you talking about?
He has no idea what's going on.
He doesn't get it.
He doesn't get it. He's like 10. You threw this kid into here and he's like 10. What are you doing? And then we get to things that happened within the game. So I will say something like, before we get to that, actually, I want to say that like the parry system is really cool. I like it, but it does make some fights a little too easy.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's definitely like why I kind of like Twilight Princesses, where it's more of a choice, but also when you get it is when like, you know, when abusing it isn't that bad.
But for Twilight Princess, it's even worse because you have so many other options, and when you have all of these cool techniques to play around with, and the game doesn't adjust accordingly, you feel like you're cheating the system.
Yeah. But
and and since Wind Waker came first, unfortunately, the seeds were sown here.
Yeah, unfortunately. But so Great Fish Isle was supposed to not be like that, and it was supposed to have a dungeon.
Why don't I explain this, since I know more about it?
And I know that the Fire Mountain was supposed to be a dungeon, and I'm pretty sure Ice Cavern was... Wait, Ice Cavern? No, that's fucking Ocarina. Ice Rink Isle was also supposed to be a dungeon, but yeah, go ahead, Scourge. Those three were supposed to be dungeons. Let's get on to this.
Basically, the game was rushed to completion. Yeah. It is a game that was originally supposed to have a lot more content. Great Fish Isle was supposed to have a dungeon. There were, I'm sure, what ended up being Fire Mountain and Ice Rink Isle was supposed to be either one dungeon or two dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
And
a Fire and Ice dungeon, yo, that would have been sick.
And I'm pretty sure the Great Fish Isle would have been the water dungeon. That's mysteriously missing from the game.
Right?
Not only that, but there were other different ideas, like Link aging gradually as the game went on, and other cool scrapped ideas.
And I would have
never saw the light of day.
Yeah. It sucks that the game was rushed, and before we keep going, I want to say, like, what became of rushing the game is why neither of us consider it, like, the best. But it's still worth, third place.
It's not just that, but yeah, that is one of the biggest reasons as to why it's an honorable mention.
Personally, for me, it's the reason. Or else I'd be like, nah, this is like might just be the best.
Yeah, and well, and you're probably thinking, well, what did they do to combat it?
Did they do
The Triforce Shard Hunt. They
Yep.
they used the Triforce Shard Hunt to pad out the story so you weren't blowing through everything too quickly. And it shows. It is a very tacked on part of the game. It is it is by far the worst part of the game.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to go through the entire overworld, get 8 charts that shows you where each piece is, but before you can read them, you gotta pay Tingle a shitload of money.
Unless you choose to become the hero of sales and play Wind Waker HD. Then you only need 3 charts.
Yeah. The only good thing about Wind Waker HD, in my opinion, but that is a rant for another day.
Yeah.
I'm not opening that can of worms.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you. You've shown me the light. You've shown me the light. Especially because the hero of sales sounds so stupid.
Watch this highlight video to get that.
Yeah. You'll understand. You'll understand. It has Scourge's rant, and then it has me understanding and agreeing, and then like, what is this? The hero of sales? What the fuck? He ain't no hero of wins. But yeah, continue.
And then but the game hides the ending behind an in-game paywall, and you pretty much can't progress without at least one of the wallet upgrades, if not both. And how many rupees, you ask? Well, a grand total of 3,184 rupees.
A lot of rupees, man.
Let me repeat that. 3,184 rupees.
Even if you collect every rupee you get from the dungeons and other stuff, you won't have enough still. You'll still have to go grinding for a while.
And that doesn't even like include the incredible chart which Tingle sends you to help you search for where the Triforce charts are in the first place, but that costs an additional 201 rupees.
Yeah.
But your additional wallet cannot carry more than 200. So it forces you to get the wallet upgrade, and even if you don't get it, each chart costs 398 rupees to decipher. So you need the wallet upgrade either way.
Yeah, pretty much.
It is bullshit.
It's pretty bad. It's so bad that I know you said you know people who have dropped the game because of this.
Yes. And I can see why.
Yeah.
It is absolutely terrible.
I know that also, like, this is something like that. This is something I never understood. Why the fuck does Tingle have this special chart, and not like the King of Red Lions? Like, exactly. Why doesn't the King of Red Lions have it? At that point, you know he's a person. You've seen his human self. Mm-hmm. He could have given it to you like that. Even if not, he could have gotten it and had it in his mouth and then like given it to you, or had it on like the.
Could have been the same. It could have been the same thing as like him just having the Wind Waker. Like he just gives you the Wind Waker. Why can't he do the same thing with the chart?
Right? Like
not only that,
that would at
not
least
only
make
that,
it a little better. But
not only that, but it should there should have been an excuse to like explore Hyrule Field down under the ocean, because you'd think there would be at least a little bit to explore, but no, there's just Hyrule Castle, the path to Ganon's Tower, and that's it.
Yeah, that part's very disappointing as well. I know it's like it doesn't count with, like, it's not part of this, but yeah, that's something else that I completely forgot about, is like there's nothing down there below the ocean. Why isn't there more? Like, I feel like
really
they were going to do more there and make more of a Hyrule Field there, but they didn't have time. I feel like that was actually part of the rushed part.
Exactly.
That's missing. Because it
I
100%
think so
looks like there was gonna be more. And I'm so sad that there isn't. Like, even if it was like a tiny Hyrule Field, like, oh, the rest of it kind of like, you know, there were chunks that went to the surface. Things happen, right? Or like, just other reasons, like, oh yeah, the water kind of fucking crushed the land. Like, it kind of just crushed some of the land, so, you know, now it's smaller. But like, just some kind of Hyrule Field would have been nice, rather than just like this little thick line and that's it.
Or like a lot of ruins, like in Breath of the Wild.
Oh yeah, that would have been perfect. Ruins with like a bit of a Hyrule Field. Oh, beautiful right there. Mwah, love it. But no,
Such a shame.
I know. So another thing about the chart, by the way. Someone tell me why the King of Red Lions can't read the treasure charts.
Good point.
Like, why the fuck can he not do it? You know why? Because they needed an in-game paywall because they rushed the game. But it's horrible that that's the case. It's like, why the fuck can't he do it? Because it's like, it should be like the other charts. You get them,
He's a king
and you
of
just
the
go to
ancient-
them.
He's the king of an ancient kingdom that actually safeguarded this Triforce for who knows how long. There is no reason why he shouldn't know everything there is to know about a chart that tells you how to find and connect the Triforce.
Yeah. Honestly, I see no problem with paying Tingle the 201 rupees. I think it should be 200. Let's say they didn't have to rush the game, right? But they kept the Triforce Shard Hunt in it. Give Tingle 200, make it Tingle's 200, so you don't have to upgrade the wallet. Don't be a dick. Unless Nintendo wants to be dicks, then fine, 201.
Leave Tingle out of it. There's no reason Tingle should have it in the first place.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Alright, King of Red Lions has it. He can read it.
King of Red Lions give it to you after the Wind Temple.
Yeah, he gives it to you. It shows you where all the charts are. You go, you get them. He can read the charts, and you just go fish out the Triforce pieces. Honestly, I think that would be a great Triforce Shard Hunt if it was done that way. Because it would be good.
Just skip the chart process in that case, and just have a chart that shows where the shards are.
But
don't have all of them hidden in the ocean. Like, have a couple of them you need to fish out, like in the final game. Some of them are in like treasure chests, like in the HD version, and then there are other. And then maybe there are a couple in like Hyrule Field.
Maybe, yeah. Or even better yet, like where all the Triforce charts are, just make them all Triforce shards, kind of like they did with Wind Waker with most of them, like HD. I mean, just all of them. Make them like those areas have the Triforce shards, because I don't think any of those areas are bad. They're kind of fun to go through. Most of them, I find.
Going through,
they're not bad. And it's
exploring the entire world to search for MacGuffins isn't the problem.
The problem is the paywall.
The problem is the paywall.
Yeah. If they had, like, the paywall is the issue. If the paywall was taken out, this would be kind of a bit of a different game. Even with the content missing, I think if the paywall was gone, it would make the game much better. Much better. But yeah, if we had all the stuff that was supposed to be planned for this game would have been fucking phenomenal. It probably would be my favorite Zelda game, I'm gonna say.
It would probably be the best Zelda game.
That too. Not probably. I fucking believe it. Because I think this game is still pretty close to like Twilight Princess and Majora's Mask. I think it's a good honorable mention.
Oh yeah,
because
no
of like
doubt.
a couple gaps, it's like
You wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't.
yeah. So it's like I think it would easily be the best, like no question. But because of this, it's like it feels like the game got ripped off. Like we got ripped off a bit because they had to rush it instead of delaying it, and it should have just been delayed. Like nobody complains about Breath of the Wild being delayed because they need the time to work on it, and it's amazing.
Breath of the Wild 2 just got delayed, and I
don't even care. I'm happy because I'm like, cool. They get to work on it more.
They get to work on it more,
Make
and
it better.
that means we're gonna be getting a better game out of it.
Yeah, like that was the problem. That's in my personal opinion. That's the problem with some Pokemon games is they just kind of keep pumping them out, and it's like, take the time to work on them, please. Delay it if you have to, please. But yeah, back to this. Like it's just so unfortunate. We could have had.
Yep.
We're missing 2 or 3 dungeons, depending on what they were going to do with Fire Mountain and Ice Ring Isle. If they were going to make them a mix, honestly, if they made them a mix, it makes me think of the one Galaxy in Super Mario Galaxy, the hot and cold Galaxy.
Oh yeah, that Galaxy.
I don't remember what it's called. It might even be called Hot and Cold, but I don't think so. I think it's called something else. But that Galaxy was really cool because I liked the uniqueness of like both together. Like as a dungeon, as a Zelda dungeon, I would love to see that, and I'm sad we didn't get it. Because, I would have loved that rather than them being 2 separate dungeons. They probably would have been 2 separate ones, but I can hope. And then we're missing the Great Fish one, which was supposed to be the water one.
there is a dungeon in the series like that. It's just not it's just in a different game. It's called Oracle of Seasons.
Oh yeah, that is a dungeon.
The Sword and Shield Cave is that way.
But it's not like fire and ice. It's just right? I don't remember it. It's been a while.
No, it's fire and ice.
It is fire and ice, isn't it? I can't remember it. I don't know why. I remember really liking it, and I'm like, I don't remember this.
Because we haven't gone through it all yet.
Yeah, that's right. That's where I stopped. Okay, but yeah, I'd like to see it in a 3D Zelda game. Let's go with that. Like, I'd like to see it in a 3D Zelda game.
That would be cool. Yeah,
I would love to see it. Like, I'm surprised they haven't done that yet. So my hope for Breath of the Wild 2 is like maybe something like that or something. But like, I don't know, man. It's that part's disappointing, and unfortunately, even with all the good stuff, like that's kind of the. Along with like it delays the story as well, and it halts everything, and it impacts everything because of it. So it's like it becomes a chore that impacts everything. It's this huge ass plot hole that if it wasn't there, the game would be regarded much higher. And unfortunately, that's kind of the reason that it's just an honorable mention, because there are other problems like the Wind Temple, but it's like that just adds to this.
Yeah, let's. And speaking of those problems, let's get into other problems that we have with the game that adds to why it's an honorable mention instead of like a legit contender.
Yeah.
The sailing is pretty tedious.
Yes.
I'm personally fine with it, but there are a lot of people who aren't, and I don't blame them. The sailing is very slow, and there's a lot of it.
I think my biggest problem with the sailing is when you pull out the Wind Waker and do the Wind's Requiem, I think it's called.
The Wind's Requiem, yes.
Okay, it is called that. And it changes the wind. You view the cutscene every time of oh, go on my headset. I'd like turned my head when doing that. But you view that cutscene every single time, and it's just like, could you just show that the first time and then just not show it again, please? Like, do we have to see that every single time? I feel like it slows it down a lot, because it's like when you have to go in one direction, and you got to change the wind, and it's like just move it along a little. But yeah, the sailing is quite tedious too, just in general.
Yeah,
I wish it was a little faster. Just like without the swift sail, like no swift sail, just don't make it super slow. Like it is kind of slow.
There was another sale in that was planned for it, but it didn't see the light of day. It's just more cut content.
Because I agree with needing to change the wind. It's called the Wind Waker, not the Wind Sail. Which is why I don't like the Swift Sail. But, you know, that video I talked about, you get into, you can watch that. You'll understand. But, like, I understand the reason for, like, changing the wind. Like, it's called Wind Waker for a reason. And, like, it makes sense with the whole thing. But, like, there's no problem with still having a sail making you go faster. And, like, you know, you just still change the wind, but now you don't get that cutscene every time. And it's like, okay, now... Or just not even a sail that goes faster, just make the boat faster in general. That would just easily solve the problem altogether, because it's like, even before you could get, like, a change in sail, just the boat's a little faster, right? And it's not tedious. So it's like, okay, you remove the two things that make it tedious, and now it's fine. I do love sailing. It looks really cool. I love it. But yeah, it's still tedious.
Not only that, but the islands. A lot of the islands that you end up exploring don't have much on them. There are a lot of islands that are either just great fairy fountains that give you an upgrade and that's it. Those should all be condensed into one island, in my opinion. There are a lot of reefs where, why the fuck do those exist? And then
I like the submarines.
Well, those aren't islands. They're
They're
just submarines.
Which makes sense for them. But it's like, why are the islands sometimes the same size as the fucking submarine? Like, what's going on here, guys? Or at least close enough. Like, what is this? Bro, this is supposed to be an island, not a fucking boat. What?
The only... and there's only just a handful of really, really dense islands that you can explore.
Yeah.
Like it's literally just Outset, Windfall, Forest Haven, and
any of the dungeon
and
islands.
Dragon Roost.
Actually, even the dungeon islands, Earth Temple, the one with the Earth Temple and the one with the Wind Temple, they're just an island with a fucking hole in the front. You go in, okay, you're in the temple.
Those are just the entrances to the temples.
Yeah, why don't you have a little more than that, you know? Like...
Yeah, why do you... like, there's no variety. There's not a lot of variety. And not only that, but it also accentuates how a lot of the sea really doesn't have much to it.
Yeah.
The sea itself is kind of empty. It's
not as bad as Ocarina of Time with like Hyrule being really empty and everything.
Oh no, not even close. It doesn't even come close to scratching that game.
I'd say it's more like it's more like Twilight Princess, where like Twilight Princess doesn't feel too empty, but it doesn't feel like there's a lot either, and it's quite the big Hyrule field, and like those areas. It's kind of like Twilight Princess in that regard.
But the problem
I'd say Wind Waker's a little worse though, just because like the ocean's bigger and there's so much ocean.
It's just so much ocean. There's not a lot to see, unlike in Twilight Princess, which has a lot of hills.
Yeah,
and
it's cool seeing like the islands,
other stuff there. It feels like there's more to it. But in Wind Waker, you're just sailing and sailing and sailing through more ocean.
Yeah.
And coupled with the fact that a lot of the islands don't have much to them, it kind of feels a little empty.
Pretty much. Yeah, it does make the game feel empty at points. And honestly, it does feel like in that regard... You can kind of... You could see the game being rushed in that regard as well.
And it was even it's even more noticeable because the Wind Waker's Great Sea was the biggest overworld before Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Wait, really? Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yes, there was it. Not even Zelda 1 or
Twilight Princess is pretty big, too.
Not even Zelda 1 or Twilight Princess.
Yeah, because those are probably the like runner-ups to that.
Yeah, those are like the world. The world is bigger than all of them, and there's not much to it.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. And you could kind of tell, like, the game was rushed a little in that regard. Like, where is everything? I feel like there should be more here. It just doesn't... Yeah. Honestly, I was so focused on, like, the couple, like, huge things that were bad. Like the Wind Temple and the other thing. I totally forgot about these minor things. But once you started bringing them up, I'm like, oh, yeah! Right! These exist too. Yeah. Disappointing. Of course, every game is gonna have its like bad part, but like, but still, there are too many things that do kind of make the game feel rushed. And I mean, like even with the extra dungeons and stuff, I'm sure the islands there would be more with those islands. So it's like there would be less islands that were empty, but still, like the Great Fairy Islands. If they were still like this, it's like, what the heck? If like all those other weird tiny islands that have nothing on them that are basically just a ship, like what the heck? Like,
and
it's so weird.
Even the looking around for Jaboon part of the game is kind of weak. Like yeah. I like the idea, but I wish there was. I wish that the Jaboon didn't just give you the pearl. Like I think that Jaboon should have said, I didn't have time to get the pearl. It's still hidden at Great Fish Isle. Here's like a magic MacGuffin to help you get into the temple underwater.
Yeah, that would have been sick. Oh, and you know what would have worked there?
And then the water temple, and then you go into the water temple of the game.
Yeah, what would have been cool there in a way was like, okay, so you have to go underwater, but now you run into some Hyrule field that's underwater, but not like, or like maybe like a bit of like Zora's domain underwater, and it's like it's still underwater. It's not like Hyrule Castle and Ganon's Tower. Something that's like
it could tease the fact that this is Hyrule Field.
Yeah, and then it's like the next dungeon you find out, oh shit, Tower of the Gods. Oh shit, Hyrule Field. Oh. But you can't go there yet, of course. Well, unless you use Barrier Skip, but shush, speedrunners, we're talking normally.
Barrier Skip. I also think that the game is a bit too easy at points.
Yeah, the game needed to be harder in some circumstances.
Or rather, they at least should have made like more difficult like optional challenges or mini dungeons, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like what RPGs like to do with their super bosses. Like there's an end game dungeon with a really, really, really tough super boss.
That would be cool. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised
if
that
Wind Waker had something like that. I would think people wouldn't complain too much about Wind Waker's lack of difficulty. But but it also adds to the lighthearted atmosphere to it, so I can't be too mad at it, but still, sometimes it just goes too far.
I'm just surprised there's no, like, scaling difficulty in a way of, like, just enemies that, like, so for, like, the beginning of the game, your parry kind of works easier. Enemies can't really do much against it. But then you get to like Earth Temple, Wind Temple. Oh, some of the enemies are blocking some of my parries. What the fuck? Like, you have enemies blocking you now at that point in the game, and you're like, oh, that's not right.
Or maybe like the Dark Nuts.
Like
the Dark Nuts have armor on their back, so you can't parry attack them.
Yeah, now you have to find another way to like beat them, and they make up some way to like beat them, right?
Yeah, like maybe you could like destroy
and not
their
just the
armor
Dark
with a
Nuts,
bomb.
but like other enemies that like you can't just parry them. You have to do something else here, and now it does make them harder. And then it's like, you know, it honestly, that would make it even more satisfying when you get the light arrows. So like after you dealt with enemies getting harder, you're just like dead, 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 and then you walk into the final boss like, oh shit, now it just got hard again. What the fuck? I just got this OP item. What the fuck, guys? It would make it even better, right? Like
that's why I don't get mad about the difficulty spike in Wind Waker, because one, the game is already easy enough, and two, you just got a super overpowered item that completely trivializes any normal enemy fights.
Mm-hmm. At least that's at the end of the game, similar to like, you know, Fierce Deity Mask at the end of the game, but like,
yeah,
the earlier parts needed to be like, I think, because for me, it's like the Earth Temple and the Wind Temple, I felt like did need to be harder. Like, before that, it was like an easier game. Or actually, you know what? Not just the Earth Temple and the Wind Temple, the Tower of the Gods, too. Because, like, the Tower of the Gods is a trial, right? So it should be harder. That's when the difficulty spike should have activated. If they were going to have one. Because that's when it should be harder. And then it would make Forsaken Fortress more interesting as well, because, yeah, difficulty spike before that. But yeah, that is unfortunate, and it's not like a huge thing, but it's because I don't mind that part, like the difficulty that much either, but it's 100% there, and it's like, still could have been, this could have been done better. It's similar to Twilight Princess, whereas like they could have had a difficulty spike with like the hidden skills and everything. They could have based it around
too much,
but
it doesn't bother me too much. But it's still a thing that people give the game flack for, so it has to. So
and I do understand it. I do understand it though.
I do too.
All right, well, I guess that's about it. That is our discussion on the honorable mention, The Wind Waker. Thank you, Scourge of Legend Zelda, for joining me in all of these. It was a lot of fun.
Yep.
Thank you all for joining me. Glad to be doing this again, and I will have more stuff for you soon. Maybe we'll get to that dungeons, top 5 dungeons like we were talking about last time, earlier. Maybe we'll get to that next, or something else. Perhaps. Per slaps. That has been the 3-part series for what is the best Zelda game. Well, what we think is the best Zelda game. And be prepared for bloopers in the next video.
Shitload of them.
A shitload of them. And that is all. Let me know what you think is the best Zelda game and what are your honorable mentions and runner-up. We will catch you guys in the next one.
Peace!